Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you a build guide for the Bladesinging Wizard in Baldur's Gate 3. This is a new class that got added with patch 8 and this is in the stress test. Now the Bladesinging Wizard gets some cool abilities. It's focused around casting spells with your sword. In addition to this, you also get to increase your overall damage by your spell level ×5, so you can expend a spell slot to reduce incoming damage. It's a very kind of tanky version of the wizard, which is a lot of fun. So with this, we're going to go for cantrips. The Booming Blade cantrip fits thematically here. It's a new cantrip with patch 8. And we're also going to go with Bone Chill because it can stop the target from healing, which actually is very effective. And the Ray of Frost to reduce their movement speed and deal a little cold damage. As for the spells that we'll be taking, I think it's good to have Mage Armor to increase your overall armor class early game. The Shield spell to increase your armor class as well. And also Magic Missile, Thunder Wave, Ice Knife, and the Find Familiars. Now, we also got ability scores of 16 Dexterity, 14 Constitution, 16 Intelligence, 10 Wisdom, and 10 Charisma. And I'll be covering also the weapons that we'll want to use with this at the end, or near the midpoint of the video, and also show off the combat, as there's some very fun weapons that can work out very well here. Now, I'll be covering just the full build here, so I guess at level 2, we get to choose our, our subclass now. In the Bladesinging Wizard, I love that icon there. You get the subclass feature. You get proficiency in light armor and performance skill. You also get proficiency with daggers, sickles, short swords, rapiers, scimitars, and long swords. So Fowler Alluve early game is a great weapon to use. And you also get Bladesong power, which allows you to cast a Bladesong, which you can see here. Invoke the Bladesong. You gain a +2 bonus to your armor class, and movement speed increases by 3 meters. You also gain advantage in acrobatics and a 2 bonus to Constitution saving throws. So you can't wear medium armor or heavy armor or shields while blade singing, and you must wield a dagger, longsword, rapier, scimitar, short sword, or sickle. Now with this, we get to choose another level 2 choice in spells. Chromatic Orb and Fog Cloud work great for the ability to hide out in it, but Grease is also nice, and Long Strider obviously is always a good spell to have. And we get to pick the Bladesinger's weapon. This gives you an actual weapon that you can use, so we're going with the rapier because one of the best items in the game for this is rapier as well. And for the prepared spells, I think it's just fine to leave it with those there that we got selected. And once we make our way to level 3, we get to choose another choice level 2 spells. And Hold Person's great because we can make it so that we can critically hit targets. And Misty Step because we need to have a little bit extra mobility. And typically you'd go for like Scorching Ray, but I think these two actually work a little bit better in this instance. Yeah, we also get to choose I would recommend also having Misty Step here, so you can take off the Find Familiar too. Find Familiar is good to take the Raven, which can blind targets and set up your attacks a little bit more easily. At level 4, we get a choice of another cantrip. I think Firebolt's nice because it can explode certain things. It's always good to have. And for our next leveled spell, we can go with Scorching Ray. Darkness is also quite nice. Mirror Image will increase your armor class by 9, so this can also be a very effective one to have just for survivability's sake. And then we can add in the magic, or the cat back. And for our ability score, I think it's best to go with an intelligence increase since we're going to be casting a bit, and this is just a nice skill to have high. At level 5, we get ourselves another Bladesong power, and we get level 3 spells, with Haste being a very popular one. However, you can learn Haste as a sorcerer and cast it to 2 people. That's the preferred way of doing this. The big benefit is counter spells, because we actually get a massive benefit by using a specific rapier, which you'll see a bit later on, which gives us an extra reaction, and counter spell is just super powerful. You want to have that. And also we got Lightning Bolt or Fireball as other great choices, and even Glyph of Warding can be pretty fun, but I would recommend Fireball or Haste even. Haste if you don't have a sorcerer. Now for the next leveled spell, I would recommend taking your Counterspell and Lightning Bolt for the options there. Counterspell is just really effective in a variety of different situations. Now level 6, we get an extra attack, so this is pretty nice, making us a lot more offensive on the melee side of things, and we can take the Fireball, and even Glyph of Warding can be nice if you want to take something like that, so we'll swap in the Fireball spell. Now once we get ourselves to level 7, we get level 4 spells with things like Minor Elementals and Ice Storm being some of the most popular spells to take. So we can go with something like that and take the Minor Elemental, as we can create ice methods, which are going to be very effective for keeping us alive. Now level 8, we can go with like the Confusion spell. This is great for just overall shutting people down. It does require concentration, but this can be nice in a variety of situations. Greater Invisibility also can work well. It's kind of neutered here in comparison to if you were to use it in actual Dungeons and Dragons, so even like the Wall of Fire can be good for a bit of crowd control. And then we'll take an ability score improvement to bump up our intelligence all the way to 20, big brain time. At level 9, we get another subclass feature, and we get a choice of spells, with 2 of the most powerful ones being Cone of Cold and then the Conjure Elemental, which you'll see can be very effective here. So for our prepared spells, I would recommend having both of these equipped here, and we're going to go with something like that. Minor or major elemental, we can create a water myrmidon, which will double our cold damage, which is the most effective way to go about doing this. So we also get another level 5 spell, and we get the Song of Defense. So you can when you take damage during your blade song, you can expend a spell slot or subtract 5 damage from the spell per spell slot. So if you use a level 6 spell slot, it's 30 less damage you'll take. Not always something you're going to want to use, but it's strategic. You got to use it when you need it. Shocking Grasp is nice, so you can stop targets from using reactions, so you can run away if you're in a tight situation. Hold Monster is a really great spell to take here at this level, because there's a lot of bosses in Act 3 that actually get really hit by that. So Cloud Kill is also nice because if you have a cleric who can cast Hero's Feast on you all, you can just continually cast this around, dealing the poison damage to everyone, and you won't actually take any of the damage yourself. So we'll keep it like that for our prepared spells. And now we get ourselves level 6 spells with some very fun ones. We got Chain Lightning, Wall of Ice, Luke's Freezing Sphere, and also like Circle of Death and Sunbeam. But I think the two best are the Chain Lightning and Luke's Freezing Sphere. So we're going to add those into our spell list. So we got ourselves a pretty solid one here. Even take off that and put on Scorching Ray. I think that that's a pretty solid list of spells there, if I do say so myself. And at level 12, this is where we could actually add in like the War Cleric and get an extra bonus action attack. So we have 3 melee attacks if you wanted to focus around that. For this build, I'm just going to stick with the Wizard, and even taking like Global Invulnerability is really nice. You can learn this from a scroll, however, and it's very effective. So for the final leveled spell, Wall of Ice or Globe of Invulnerability, and we'll go with that. And then we can go with the Alert feat for the +5 to Initiative. You can also go in the Ability Score Improvement and take up our Dexterity, because this is going to help out with our armor class as well as our just general survivability. Now, what this ends up looking like, so we have an armor class of 18. Now, if we're going to equip our weapon here, I'd recommend going with the Duelist Prerogative. Now, what's nice about this is you get the extra reaction, and we can deal additional damage equal to our proficiency bonus, necrotic damage, which can be very effective at times. And we have an increased critical hit chance. It's actually pretty good. So, and the reason we're not going to wear a shield is because with the Blade Song, you cannot wear a shield while blade singing. So this is kind of the weapon that was meant for it. It makes me wonder, maybe this class is intended to be in the base game all along. And early game, you can use Falar Alluve as your weapon. I think that that works out best. With the Wave Mother's Robe, this is nice because this will give us Create or Destroy Water. But I think the best armor is actually the Ballast Armor, because this will give us a double damage on piercing damage, and this is a piercing damage weapon. So this can really enhance our overall damage output. So with that, I also got the Hood of the Weave for a +2 to spell save DC and spell attack rolls, and the Cloak Protection. Ballast Armor. The Gloves of the Belligerent Sky, whenever you deal Thunder, Radiant, or Lightning damage, you can apply 2 turns of Reverberation, which is actually really crazy. However, the Helldust Gloves will give us better spell save DC and add fire damage to our attacks, which makes this even stronger. The Evasive Shoes for the +1 armor class is also really nice. I also like the Snowburst Ring for creating ice surfaces under targets. This can really enhance the amount of slipping and turn missing that the enemies do. Also, with the Amulet of Greater Health for better survivability. However, we can swap this out and use the Killer Sweetheart for that free crit and the Ring of Protection. Hellrider Longbow for the +3 to Initiative. That just makes this a pretty decent build. So now we got ourselves a 21 armor class. However, early game weapons that work very well, something like the Morning Frost can actually work kind of in exchange for a weapon. This is probably better on a sorcerer, but if you got Falar Alluve, that is probably the best early game weapon to choose for this, because you also get the Falar Alluve Melody, and in addition to this, it's a longsword, which is part of this, and it's a finesse one, so you can use dexterity for it. So I think that's probably the best choice there, but with this weapon here, it actually works out very well. So I'll show off what this ends up looking like in actual combat. Now we're going to set up by invoking the Blade Song here, which is going to enhance our character. So we got the Blade Song now on. In addition to this, we also have the Blade Song Climax. So unleash the full damage and healing effects of your Blade Song at once. Your Blade Song charges will harm enemies an additional 1d6 force damage, and your Blade Song healing will heal you and your allies for additional 1d6 of healing. This uses a bonus action 3 meters of your movement speed. Now, I'm going to start combat off, but I'm actually going to start with somebody else just so that we can give myself the full actions to show off this build. So I'd actually recommend having Ice Storm as much as possible, just due to the crowd control features that Ice brings. So that's why the Ice Snowburst Ring is so popular, important for builds like this. Now, what we want to end up doing, we have a lot of people slipping around, perfect. We can go in and melee often with this, actually. So what we can do too is, obviously we got spell casting, so we got a lot of really great options like the Luke's Freezing Sphere. I completely forgot to bring in my elementals, but the minor and major elementals you'd want to have around here as well, because they're going to be able to draw aggro, as well as you can set up water with the water myrmidon, so it's really effective. And we also got the duelist enthusiasm, so we can do 3 attacks per turn, and that's kind of cool. So we can go ahead. I'm not going to use the bladesong climax just yet. I'm just going to show you what the I guess the melee attacks will end up looking like. So you can see there, really cool animations. Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, it gave me a good laugh. We're just going to ignore the withering cuts. This will give 4 extra damage, so if you know the target's not going to go down, you can apply that, or you can use that on your attack as, let's say we go to attack somebody and they're very close to being wiped out, but not wiped out. This will give them that knockout that we need. I love the animations for this too. Oh my goodness. We just got more enemies coming after us here too, so I guess I'll just continue to use melee attacks here, because this is our best choice for taking out targets. And we also get a bonus action one, so that's 5 attacks with haste, which is actually pretty good for a wizard, you know what I mean? And we rolled a critical hit. We don't need to react with that, so that's another target down. And we won't have enough room to be able to do the blade attack there, but the duelist enthusiasm is nice because this gives you an extra attack as well. Don't quite have the mobility for it, so we're just going to go right ahead here. And that's the only real option is using a Illithid ability, which can luckily hit all 3 of those targets, so that's perfect. And it stunned them. That's exactly what we wanted. So Illithid abilities work very well, obviously, with this build. Now, for some reason, there is a ton more guards that just appeared, so I'm going to go focus on the ones down here, because there's a bunch of ice surfaces there. So, actually, another good idea is if there's a lot of grouped enemies together, you got Oluk's Freezing Spheres, so you can go with the launching version of this and then drop it down on that large group right there. So that should do pretty good damage. Ideally, I would have had create water set up because I would have likely taken them all out, but Oluk's Freezing Sphere is very powerful. When you get 1 level 6 spell, so you got Chain Lightning or that. In this case, this was the right choice to go with. Now, we also got Lightning Bolt, which is pretty fun, so we can just slap that down there, which does quite a bit of damage. That took out all 3 of them, so I guess we don't have to worry about them. We're actually pretty offensive with the spells that we got. Now, we can't actually use the other options, but we do have we got this, the Bladesong Climax. We can use this to teleport around. I'm just going to use this to jump right here and heal me and Minsk. And that's pretty cool. So that uses the blade singing charge there and heals yourself, which is pretty cool. And then you can also just pop back the blade song again. So anytime that you want to refresh that, boom, there you go. You got it again. So we got a few more targets right over here. So we may have to take out the civilians there. Unfortunately, just the nature of what's happening right now. Fireball is nice for most damage. The Ice Storm spell is great for creating these ice surfaces. So either one of these can work well. We can actually hit all the targets in there with an Ice Storm, so we may as well drop that down. And it took out all the enemies except for 1, so that actually was a great choice. And then for this final enemy, we can go with like a Lightning Bolt, which should be able to hit them there. They have 37 health, so maybe even a Fireball upcasted to level 5. That should be enough just to finish them off. And boom, there it is. The Blade Singing Wizard. Such a cool class. Many amazing ways of its using its weapon. It's very stylish. I think this might be my favorite wizard. So yeah, that is a very cool new subclass in Baldur's Gate 3 patch 8. If you found this video useful, please hit the subscribe button below, and I'll see you all in the next video.